Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we'll talk about what options are available for migrating to Canada. So if you're considering moving to Canada, you should definitely stay tuned to get an idea of what the various migration options are, as well as the requirements. Canada is the second largest country by landmass and has a total population of about 38 million people. About 80% of Canada is uninhabited, with 90% of the population living in large cities close to the US border. Canada is made up of a diverse population due to an increased focus on migration to balance the effect of an aging population. This makes Canada a very diverse place to live. Pre-COVID, Canada was averaging about 300,000 new migrants annually. The Canadian government has committed to continue to pursue these migration numbers for the foreseeable future. Due to this focus on migration, as at 2019, about 22% of Canada's population is made up of migrants. India, China, Philippines, the UK, and the US are the top 5 countries of birth for foreign-born people living in Canada. Canada is made up of 13 provinces and territories. The capital is Ottawa, which is in the province of Ontario. The top 5 immigration destinations are Ontario, Quebec, Alberta, British Columbia, and Manitoba. 30% of migrants currently settle in the province of Ontario, with Toronto as its most populous city. Canada used to be a British colony, which is why the official language is English. French is also a second official language, primarily spoken in the city of Quebec, which has a strong French heritage. Let's introduce you to George. George is Kenyan and lives in Nairobi. George works in one of the largest banks in Kenya. He joined immediately after finishing his postgraduate degree in the UK and has been with the bank for about 4 years now. Every morning, he makes his way down to the Upper Hill location in Nairobi where he is based. George is thinking of moving to the West after spending just a year in the United Kingdom for his postgrad program. While he enjoyed his time in the UK, George is leaning more towards moving to Canada due to its more immigration-friendly policies. George also has a good network of friends and family in Canada. George decides to speak to his friend Eric, who happens to be an immigration consultant. Eric agrees to meet with George to provide a free consult as he and George are old mates. George makes his way to Wambua's office in the Westlands area of Nairobi. After a few drinks and catching up on old times, Eric provides candid advice that George doesn't need a consultant or migration specialist to get through the immigration process for Canada, as it's a fairly transparent point-based system. All the information is also readily available on the canada.ca webpage with specific details on the various migration options, requirements, costs, and the application process. So, what are the various migration options to Canada? First option is the popular Express Entry route. The Express Entry is an online system that the Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada uses to manage permanent resident applications for skilled workers. The Express Entry route has 3 different programs, which are all point-based. The Federal Skilled Program is open to anyone with Canadian or foreign experience of at least 1 year of continuous skilled work experience in the same field in the last 10 years. The Federal Skilled Trades Program is also open to anyone with Canadian or foreign experience, but in a skilled trade. The Canadian Experience class is only open to applicants with Canadian work experience. Only the Federal Skilled Trades Program requires a valid job offer. These 3 programs under the Express Entry route will all result in the issuance of permanent residency to successful applicants. The next migration option is the provincial nomination route. Most of the provinces in Canada run nomination programs where individuals looking to migrate to Canada can make an application to get nominated by a province to apply for permanent residency. This is ultimately a two-step process, as the nomination application is different from the actual application for permanent residency. Before you can obtain a provincial nomination, you must have the necessary skills, education, and work experience to contribute to the economy of that province. You must also be committed to living in that province once you become a PR. The next option is the startup visa option. This is suitable for entrepreneurs with a solid business idea that will create jobs and benefit the Canadian economy. In order to qualify, a designated organization must issue a letter of support for your business, as well as pledge 200,000 Canadian dollars to support the business. As you can imagine, this is easier said than done. The next option is the Family Sponsorship Program. This one's pretty straightforward. A family member that is a permanent resident or a citizen can apply for permanent residency on your behalf. This works best for immediate family members, for example, a spouse, a child, parents, or grandparents. While it's possible to apply for a sibling, an uncle, or an aunt, these are only granted under specific extenuating circumstances. The next option is the student route. This one is pretty straightforward as well. All students graduating from a Canadian designated learning institution can apply for a postgraduate work permit. The length of the work permit is dependent on the length of the study program. The next option is the self-employed route. This is quite specific and only targeted at self-employed individuals with experience in the cultural or athletic activities and must be willing to contribute to those areas in Canada. Next up is specifically for caregivers. A caregiver is defined as someone that provides care to children, the elderly, or those with medical needs. This option requires a confirmed Canadian job offer. This is a fairly recent program and it's still currently at the pilot phase. Finally, we have the Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot Program. This is a program put together to encourage immigration to rural and northern communities that naturally don't see a lot of immigration flows. There's about 11 participating communities. Once again, a valid Canadian job offer is required to be eligible for this route. So essentially, this table summarizes the key requirements, restrictions, processing time, and application fees for each of the different migration options on this table. The key differences as shown is that some require a job offer, some require you to prove your competency in speaking English and or French, some allow you to migrate with your dependents, and also give you access to public funds. And we also have a few options that require you to commit to living in certain parts of the country. This table is really meant to provide a summary view that can potentially help you in deciding the best option for your specific situation. Let's flip back to George. George now has an understanding of the various options available and start to go through a process of elimination to arrive at the best option. George is not a caregiver, so that option is off the table. George doesn't have any immediate family member in Canada, so that's also off the table. Similarly, George is not looking to be self-employed or start a business venture. George wants to have some independence in deciding where in Canada he wants to migrate to, so this excludes the rural and northern program. He also has no intention of going back to school. Neither can he afford it. This essentially leaves the provincial nomination and the express entry programs as the only available options. George decides to pursue the express entry route using the federal skilled worker program. This process can be completed from start to finish without the need for an immigration specialist. This actually saves you a lot of money if you're willing to utilize all the available resources and information on the Canada.ca website. George proceeds to create an express entry profile, provides all the information required, and is deemed eligible and issued a comprehensive ranking system score. Based on the score, George is subsequently issued an invitation to apply for permanent residency. Fast forward a year down the line. George's application for permanent residency has been approved. This was done from start to finish without George ever setting foot in Canada. George is pretty excited as he touches down at the Pearson International Airport in Toronto as a permanent resident. Thanks for watching the video. In the next set of videos, we're going to be covering immigration options to the UK and the US, so stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. Also use the link in the description to download the table comparing the different immigration options. Thank you and take care.